The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system without warning. It was bigger than any city on Earth, its dark metal surface covered with strange symbols that glowed with purple light. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, looking at the small blue planet through the viewing screen. He felt nothing but disappointment. This is what we traveled so far to see, he asked his second in command. Captain, these humans can barely leave their own planet. Look at their pathetic ships. On the screen, Earth's orbital stations looked like tiny toys compared to the flagship. The human vessels were made of simple metal and powered by primitive chemical rockets. They had energy shields that could stop any attack, plasma weapons that could melt through mountains, and ships that could travel between stars in days. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet, reported the communications officer. They want to talk. Admiral laughed. Of course they do. They must be terrified. Put them through. The screen changed to show a human woman in a simple blue uniform. She had short brown hair and calm green eyes. Behind her, other humans worked at basic computer stations. Everything looked so primitive. To the Admiral, I am Commander Sarah, representing Earth and humanity, the woman said. Her voice was steady and polite. We welcome you to our solar system. Welcome us. Admiral found this amusing. Human, I am Admiral of the Empire. We rule 47 star systems. We have come to bring your species into our empire. Commander nodded slowly. I see. And what would that mean for humanity? You will serve us, the Admiral explained, as if talking to a child. You will give us 70% of your planet's resources. Your people will work in our factories and mines. In return, we will not destroy your civilization. The bridge of the Dominion's edge was quiet as they waited for the humans' response. The Admiral expected crying, begging, or immediate surrender. These primitive beings had no choice but to submit. Admiral Commander said after a long pause, we appreciate you making your position clear. However, we must respectfully decline your offer. Several officers made sound of surprise. Admiral stared at the screen in disbelief. You decline, human? Do you understand what you are saying? We have 200 warships in this system. Each one could destroy your entire planet. We understand your position, Commander replied calmly, but our answer remains the same. We will not submit to your empire. Captain leaned forward. Sir, perhaps they do not understand our power. Should we show them? Admiral raised his hand for silence. He wanted to hear more of this amusing conversation. Human, what makes you think you can refuse us? Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. Your weapons are useless against our shields. Commander's expression did not change. Admiral, we have lived in peace for many years. We do not wish to fight, but we will not be slaves to anyone. Fight. The Admiral began laughing so hard that tears came to his eyes. Several bridge officers joined in the laughter. You think you can fight us with what? Your chemical rockets, your primitive nuclear weapons? The human commander waited for the laughter to stop. When she spoke again, her voice was even calmer than before. Admiral, I want to make something very clear. This is humanity's final warning. Leave our system now and no harm will come to you. Stay and you will regret it. The entire bridge fell silent. Then Admiral exploded with laughter again, louder than before. Warning, you are giving us a warning. He could barely speak through his laughter. Human, that is the funniest thing I have heard in decades, Captain was also. Laughing, sir, they think they can threaten us should we destroy one of their orbital stations to show them how wrong they are. Yes, the Admiral said, wiping tears from his eyes, destroy their largest station, let them see what real power looks like. Commander's image flickered slightly on the screen. Admiral, I strongly advise you to reconsider. This is your only warning. Our only warning, Admiral shook his head. In amazement, human, in 1 hour we will begin destroying your orbital infrastructure. After that we will bombard your planet until you surrender. Perhaps then you will understand your place in the galaxy. I understand perfectly, Commander said. Her finger moved to a button on her control panel. Admiral, you have made your choice. We have made ours. The transmission ended. The screen showed the small blue planet, again looking peaceful and defenseless. Admiral felt a mixture of amusement and pity for these foolish humans. Sir, the tactical officer reported, sensors show no change in human activity. Their ships remain in their usual positions. No weapons are being charged. Of course not, the Admiral said. They have nothing that could threaten us. Captain, I take 3 destroyers and eliminate their orbital platforms. Make it slow so they can see each station. Die? Yes, sir, the captain replied, with a cruel smile. Should we give them another chance to surrender? No, they had their chance. Now they will learn what happens when primitive species challenge the Empire. As Captain Alf to prepare the attack, Admiral looked at Earth again. Soon this pretty blue planet would bow before power. The humans would become slaves like so many other species before them. He had no idea that far below on Earth's surface, Commander was entering a long sequence of codes into her command console. Systems that had been hidden for decades began to wake up. Ancient protocols activated deep underground. Massive machines started humming with power. The Admiral also had no idea that the primitive human commander was now speaking into a secure communication channel. Protocol Omega is now active, she said quietly. All units prepare for full deployment. The masquerade is over. Admiral was about to learn that some warning should not be ignored. Admiral sat in the war room of the Dominion's Edge, studying reports about human technology. Around the large metal table, his top officers discussed what they had learned about Earth's defenses. The news was even worse than they had expected. Their largest weapons are nuclear bombs, reported science officer, reading from his data pad. The biggest ones can destroy a city, but they would barely scratch our shield. Their space fleet has only 12 ships, and they are all very small. Captain pointed to the holographic display showing Earth's solar system. Look at this pathetic orbital defense. A few space stations, some mining platforms near their asteroids, and a small research base on their moon. That is everything. What about their ground forces? Asked General, the Empire's leading military strategist. Even more primitive, replied. They still use projectile weapons that fire metal bullets. Their vehicles run on chemical fuel. They have no energy shields at all, sir. A single soldier could defeat 100 humans. Admiral nodded with satisfaction. And their industrial capacity very limited, the science officer continued. They have basic factories and some computer technology, but nothing Close to our level, they cannot even create antimatter or bend spacetime. They are at least 2,000 years behind us. In development, the Admiral stood up and walked to the large viewing window. Outside, he could see part of his massive fleet, 200 of the Empire's finest warships floated in space like metal mountains. Each destroyer was 5 times larger than humanity's biggest ship. His flagship was larger than their entire fleet combined. It is almost sad, he said to his officers. They have no idea what real power looks like. When they see our weapons, they will probably think we are gods. General cleared his throat. Sir, about their warning, do you think they might have some hidden weapons we do not know about? Several officers laughed at this question. Captain shook her head in amusement. Hidden weapons, General, we have been watching them for months. Our sensors can detect any energy source in their system. They have nothing we have not seen, but their confidence seems strange. The General continued. Why would they threaten us if they know they cannot win? Admiral turned from the window with a smile. Because they are young and foolish. Young species always think they are special. They cannot accept that they are weak. Remember, these humans have never faced real military power before. Science officer brought up more data on his pad. Sir, their history shows they often fight hopeless battles. They seem to prefer dying rather than surrendering. It is an interesting cultural trait, but not militarily useful. Good, the Admiral said. That means they will fight to the end, and we will not have to worry about rebellion later. Dead species do not cause problems. Captain stood up from her chair. Sir, should we begin the demonstration? 3 destroyers should be enough to destroy their orbital platforms. Yes, but do it slowly, Admiral ordered. I want the humans to watch each station die. Let them see how helpless they are. After we destroy their orbital defenses, we will give them one more chance to surrender. And if they refuse again, ask General. The Admiral's smile became cold. Then we will bombard their planet until they beg for mercy. We will destroy their cities one by one. When they finally surrender, they will be grateful that we allow any of them to live. The war room erupted in cruel laughter. The officers enjoyed discussing the destruction they would cause. They had conquered many species before, and humans would be no different. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth's surface, Commander Sarah walked through a massive underground facility. The tunnel stretched for kilometers in every direction, filled with technology that looked nothing like what they had seen on the surface. Status report. She called to Dr. James Harrison, Earth's Chief Defense Coordinator. All systems are coming online, Harrison replied, checking his advanced control panel. The orbital platforms are shedding their camouflage. Lunar Base Alpha is preparing for full activation. Mars Station has confirmed ready status. Commander nodded as she watched hundreds of technicians working at stations throughout the facility. What about the fleet? Still cloaked and waiting, Harrison said. They have no idea they are surrounded. Their sensors cannot detect our phase shift technology. Stopped walking and looked at a massive screen showing the alien fleet. The ships looked impressive, but she knew the truth about their technology. Have they changed position? 3 destroyers are moving toward our orbital stations, just as we predicted, Harrison reported. The rest of the fleet is maintaining position at the edge of the system. They are very confident. Too confident said quietly, "Doctor Harrison, are our people ready for what comes next?" The scientist looked up from his controls. "Commander, we have been preparing for this day for decades. Every human on Earth knows what protocol Omega means. Our species has been hiding our true nature for too long, Commander." Walk to another control station. A young technician was monitoring the approaching alien ships. How much time until they reach the orbital platforms? 18 minutes, Commander, the technician replied. "Should we begin defensive procedures?" "Not yet," said. "Let them make the first move. The galaxy needs to see that they attacked us without cause." Back on the Dominion's edge, Captain A was leading the 3 destroyers toward Earth's orbital defenses. She felt excited about the upcoming destruction. These human stations would be easy targets, Captain. Her weapons officer called out, "We are in range of their largest orbital platform. Should we begin firing?" I looked at the human structure on her screen. It looked like a simple research station with basic metal construction. She could see no weapons, no shields, nothing that could threaten them. "Not yet," she said. "Get closer, I want to see the fear on their faces before we destroy them." Her ships moved closer to the orbital platform. Through the viewports, she could see humans moving around inside the station. They looked calm, which surprised her. She expected panic and desperate evacuation attempts. "Captain, something is strange," her sensor officer reported. "I am detecting unusual energy readings from the platform." "What kind of energy?" I asked. "I am not sure. It is unlike anything in our database." Captain laughed. "Probably their primitive fusion reactors overloading from fear. Begin the attack. Target their central structure." "Yes, Captain." The destroyer charged its main plasma cannons. The weapons glowed with deadly purple energy, ready to vaporize the human station. Captain A smiled as she prepared to give the order to fire. She had no idea that the research station was not what it appeared to be. Hidden beneath its simple metal exterior was technology that would have amazed even her empire's best scientists. As her ship moved into position, ancient systems came to life inside the station. Commander, watching from far below, spoke into her communication device. "All units, the demonstration is about to begin. Remember, no one fires until they do." The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been playing a very long and very patient game. Captain A watched the human orbital station grow larger on her screen as her destroyer moved closer. The structure looked even more primitive up close. Simple metal plates, basic viewing windows, and what appeared to be small communication dishes. She felt almost sorry for the humans inside, who were about to die. "Distance to target?" she asked her navigation officer. 2 km and closing, Captain, came the reply. "Perfect. Charge all plasma cannons to maximum power. I want to destroy this station with one shot." The weapons officer's hands moved across his control panel. Cannons charged and ready, Captain. Target locked. A smiled as she looked at the helpless human station. "This will be easy. Fire." Purple energy beams erupted from her destroyer's weapons and struck the orbital platform. The plasma hit the station's outer hull and spread across its surface like liquid fire. For a moment, I thought she had succeeded. Then something impossible happened. The plasma energy simply disappeared, absorbed by the station's hull without causing any damage at all. The metal plates that looked so primitive began to glow with a soft blue light. "Captain," her sensor officer called out in panic. "The station is still intact. Our weapons had no effect." "Impossible," I said, staring at the screen. "Fire." Again, full power. The destroyers' cannons fired repeatedly, pouring massive amounts of energy into the human station. The plasma beams that could melt through mountains struck the orbital platform again and again. Each time the energy was absorbed harmlessly. Then the station began to change. The outer hull plates started moving, unfolding like the petals of a giant mechanical flower. Hidden sections emerged from inside the structure, revealing technology that looked nothing like what they had seen before. Sleek weapon arrays extended from concealed compartments, their surfaces covered with patterns of flowing energy. "Captain," the sensor officer said in a trembling voice, "I am detecting massive power readings from the station. The energy levels are off our measurement scale." "What kind of weapons are those?" I demanded, but her officer had no answer. The human station finished its transformation. What had appeared to be a simple research facility now looked like a massive fortress bristling with advanced weapons. The metal hull gleamed with energy shields that made defenses look like paper. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was Commander speaking from Earth's surface. "Captain," the human said calmly, "you have fired upon a peaceful research station without provocation. This constitutes an act of war against humanity." "This is impossible," I whispered. "How do you know my name? How do you have this technology?" "We have been watching you since you entered our system," Commander replied. "We know everything about your ships, your weapons, and your empire. Captain, I strongly suggest you withdraw immediately." A's training took over her. Shock. "Human, I do not care what tricks you are using. You cannot defeat the Empire. All ships target the station and fire everything we have." Her 3 destroyers unleashed their full firepower, plasma cannons, particle beams, and fusion missiles struck the orbital platform in a continuous barrage. The weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds poured their energy into the human station. Nothing happened. The station's shields absorbed every attack effortlessly. Then the human platform fired back. Beams of pure white energy shot from the station's weapons and struck the first destroyer. The ship's shields, which had never failed in battle, collapsed. Instantly, the energy beams cut through the destroyer's armor like it was made of paper. Captain A watched in horror as the destroyer exploded in a ball of fire. 3,000 soldiers died in seconds. "All ships evasive maneuvers," she screamed into her communicator, but it was too late. The orbital station fired again, and the second destroyer vanished. In another explosion, the third ship tried to turn and flee, but more white energy beams reached out and destroyed it before it could escape. In less than 30 seconds, 3 of the Empire's most powerful warships had been reduced to glowing debris. Captain A's own ship was somehow untouched. She realized the humans had deliberately spared her vessel so she could witness what had happened. "Impossible," she repeated, staring at the wreckage of her fleet. "Our intelligence said they had no advanced weapons. Your intelligence was wrong," Commander's voice said over the communication channel. "Captain, you are alive because we chose to let you live. Return to your admiral and tell him what You have seen, but before it could respond, her sensor officer made another shocking discovery. Captain, look at Earth. On the main screen, the blue planet was changing. Structures were rising from what had appeared to be ordinary cities. Massive weapon platforms emerged from the ground, shedding camouflage that had hidden them perfectly. The planet's surface opened in dozens of places, revealing defense systems that dwarfed anything in the Empire. And look at their moon, the navigation officer added with terror. His voice, Earth's moon was splitting apart along hidden seams. The satellite that had appeared to be a natural rock was actually a hollow construction. As the outer shell fell away, it revealed a spherical fortress covered with enough weapons to destroy entire fleets. Captain, the sensor officer said in a whisper, Mars is also changing. Red planet that humans claim to be terraforming was shedding its surface layer. Beneath the false terrain was a fully militarized world, bristling with defensive installations and massive shipyards. Captain A's mind struggled to process what she was seeing. The entire human solar system was a trap. Every planet, every moon, every structure was far more advanced than technology. How long have you been hiding this? She asked weakly into her communicator. Commander's reply was calm and patient. Captain, humanity has been space faring for thousands of years. We have been watching your empire since it was founded. We know about every world you have conquered, every species you have enslaved. Then why did you not reveal yourselves before? Because we hoped you would be peaceful, the human commander explained. We have been waiting to see if your species would choose cooperation over conquest. Unfortunately, you have chosen poorly. Captain A looked at the massive human defenses surrounding her ship. Weapon systems that could clearly destroy her vessel were pointed directly at her, but they were not firing. What do you want from me? She asked. Return to Admiral. Commander said, tell him exactly what you have seen here. Tell him that humanity gave him a fair warning and he ignored it. Tell him that his empire has made the greatest mistake in its history. And then there was a long pause before the human commander answered, then you will discover why some species survive for thousands of years. Captain, you will learn why wisdom is more valuable than weapons and why patience is more powerful than aggression. As Captain A's damaged ship limped away from the human orbital station, she could not stop staring at the screen showing Earth's defenses. The humans had been hiding in plain sight for decades, maybe centuries. They had allowed the Empire to believe they were primitive and helpless. Now, Admiral was about to face an enemy that his empire was not prepared to fight, an enemy that had been watching and learning and preparing for this exact moment. Captain A suddenly realized that the 200 warships at the edge of the solar system were not a powerful invasion fleet. They were targets. Admiral stared at Captain in disbelief. She had returned to the flagship alone, her ship badly damaged and her crew in shock. The story she told made no sense. You telling me that a human research station destroyed 3 destroyers? The Admiral asked slowly. Captain, do you understand how ridiculous that sounds? Sir, I saw it with my own eyes, replied. Her voice was shaking and her hands trembled as she spoke. Their weapons went right through our shields like they did not exist. The destroyers were vaporized instantly. Science officer looked up from his analysis station. Admiral, the captain's Ship shows damage from unknown energy. Weapons, the metal has been melted in ways our technology cannot explain. General studied the tactical display, showing Earth's solar system. Sir, our long-range sensors are now detecting massive energy sources throughout the human system. They were not there before. Admiral felt a cold fear growing in his stomach, but he pushed it away. Hidden weapons perhaps, but they cannot have many. Captain A, you said they spared your ship. Why would they do that? To send a message, I said quietly. Admiral, they know everything about us. They knew my name, my ship's designation, everything. They have been watching our empire for a long time. Impossible, the Admiral said. We would have detected their spy ships before anyone could answer. The main communication system activated. The image of Commander appeared on the screen behind her. The bridge looked completely different than before. Instead of primitive computer stations, the humans now had advanced holographic displays and control systems that made technology look ancient. Admiral, Commander said politely, I believe Captain has delivered our message. Human, the Admiral growled, trying to hide his fear. You may have some hidden weapons, but you are still vastly outnumbered. I have 200 warships. Surrender now, and I will allow some of your species to survive. Commander smiled sadly. Admir, you still do not understand. Let me show you something. The screen changed to display a star map of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems were marked in different colors. The Admiral recognized it as a map of known space, but something was wrong. The red systems are controlled by your empire, Commander explained. 47 worlds, as you said. Very impressive for a young civilization. Admiral felt proud despite his fear. Empire was indeed powerful. The blue systems, Commander continued, are controlled by humanity. The Admiral's pride turned to shock. There were hundreds of blue systems scattered throughout the galaxy, far more than the holdings. This is a lie, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. The green systems are controlled by other advanced species that your empire has never met. The Commander went on. They are our allies. They have been watching your expansion with great concern. General stepped closer to the screen. If this is true, why did you not reveal yourselves before? Because we hoped your species would mature, Commander replied. Every civilization goes through a phase where they believe conquest is the path to greatness. Most species eventually learn that cooperation brings greater benefits than war. And if they do not learn, Admiral asked, the human commander's expression became cold. Then they are reminded why ancient species become ancient. Admiral, suddenly alarms began blaring throughout the flagship. Tactical officer called out in panic. Sir, we are detecting multiple ships approaching our position. How many? Admiral demanded. I cannot get an accurate count. They are appearing everywhere around our fleet. Sir, they are using some kind of cloaking technology we have never seen before. On the main screen, space around the fleet began to shimmer. One by one, human ships became visible. They were sleek vessels with flowing designs that seemed to bend light around them. Each one was smaller than the warships, but they radiated power that made the Admiral's sensors scream warnings. 200 human ships, the tactical officer reported with terror in his voice. No. Wait, 300, 400, sir. They are still appearing. Admiral watched in growing horror as more and more human vessels materialized around his fleet. They had been surrounded without knowing it. His mighty armada was trapped. How long have they been there? He whispered. Since we arrived, Commander answered. From the screen, Admiral, did you really think we would let an invasion fleet enter our home system without watching every move you made? Science officer was scanning the human ships with increasingly frantic movements. Sir, their technology is centuries ahead of ours. These vessels can manipulate gravity, bend space-time, and their weapons appear to function on quantum levels we barely understand. That is impossible, Admiral said. Our intelligence report said humans only achieved space flight recently. Your intelligence saw what we wanted them to see, Commander replied. Admiral, humanity has been traveling between the stars for over 3,000 years. Earth is not it is our fortress. The Admiral felt his worldview crashing down around him. Then why do you hide your true nature? Because young species fear what they do not understand. The human commander explained patiently. When a civilization encounters technology far beyond their own, they usually react with violence. We have learned it is better to remain hidden until a species proves they can be peaceful. General looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of human ships surrounding them, and we have proven we cannot be peaceful. Unfortunately, yes, Commander said. Admiral, your empire has enslaved 17 different species. You have destroyed 6 civilizations completely. You came to our system planning to do the same to humanity. Admiral tried to maintain his dignity. We brought order to those worlds. We gave them purpose. You gave them slavery, the commander replied firmly. Admiral, this is humanity's final offer. Order your fleet to withdraw from our system immediately. Return to your empire and tell them that the age of expansion is over. And if I refuse, the human ships around the fleet began to glow with energy, weapons that looked nothing like conventional designs, powered up with a sound that could be heard even through the vacuum of space. Then you will learn why we have survived. For while other species have risen and fallen, Commander said quietly, Admiral, your ships are powerful by galactic standards, but humanity has been preparing for this confrontation for centuries. We know exactly how your weapons work, how your shields function, and how to defeat them. Admiral looked around his bridge at his terrified officers. Everything he thought he knew about the galaxy was wrong. The Empire was not the most advanced civilization in space. They were children playing with toys while adults watch from the shadows. How do I know you will keep your word? He asked. How do I know you will not follow us home and destroy our empire anyway? Because, Admiral, Commander said with genuine sadness in her voice, we take no joy in destroying young civilizations. We would prefer to help them grow and learn. But if your empire continues to threaten peaceful species, we will have no choice but to act. The bridge of the Dominion's edge was completely silent. Admiral realized that his 200 warships, the pride of the Empire, were helpless against these ancient humans who had been hiding in plain sight. What do you want me to tell my emperor? He asked quietly. Tell him the truth, Commander replied. Tell him that his empire has encountered something far older and more powerful than they imagined. Tell him that humanity offers one chance for peace. Choose wisdom or face the consequences. As Admiral stared at the human fleet surrounding his ships, he finally understood the terrible mistake his empire had made. They had not come to conquer a primitive world. They had walked into a trap set by beings who had been preparing for this moment for thousands of years. The demonstration was about to begin. Admiral stood on his bridge, surrounded by human ships that could destroy his entire fleet in minutes. The weapons pointed at his vessels hummed with power he could not comprehend. For the first time in his military career, he felt completely helpless. "Commander," he said slowly, "I need time to consider your offer." "Admir," the human replied from the communication screen, "you have already made your choice. You came to our system with weapons charged and intentions clear. You fired on our orbital station. Without provocation, you dismissed our warnings and threatened our people with slavery. But surely we can negotiate," the Admiral said desperately. "Perhaps we can reach some agreement." Commander's expression was filled with sad certainty. "Admiral, do you remember what I told Captain? That you would learn why some species survive for thousands of years?" Before Admiral could respond, his tactical officer called out in panic, "Sir, the human ships are moving into attack formation." The sleek human vessels began to position themselves around the fleet with perfect coordination. Each enemy ship moved to a precise location, creating a three-dimensional pattern that trapped the warships completely. Admiral General said quietly, "We should surrender. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses." "Never," Admiral snarled. "The Empire does not surrender to primitives. All ships prepare for battle, target the nearest human vessels, and fire everything we have." "Sir," science officer protested, "their technology is far beyond ours. This is suicide." "Then we die with honor," the Admiral replied. All ships attack. The fleet opened fire with everything they had: plasma cannons, particle beams, fusion missiles, and quantum torpedoes filled space with deadly energy. The combined firepower of 200 warships lit up the darkness like an artificial star. The human ships simply absorbed every attack. Their shields did not even flicker as the most powerful weapons. The arsenal struck them harmlessly. It was like throwing stones at mountains. Then the humans began their counterattack. The first human ship fired a single beam of pure white energy. The beam struck Admiral's flagship, but instead of destroying it, the energy somehow passed through the ship's shields and armor without causing damage. For a moment, the Admiral thought they had missed. Then every system on his ship began shutting down. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Sir," his engineer called out in confusion, "all our weapons are offline. Life support is failing. The engines are dead, but there is no physical damage to any system. They have somehow disabled our entire ship without harming the crew," science officer said. In amazement, "I have never seen technology like this." Around the flagship, other vessels were being hit by similar beams. One by one, the mighty warships of the Empire became helpless hulks floating in space. Their crews were alive, but their ships were completely powerless. Admiral watched in horror as his entire fleet was neutralized in less than 5 minutes. Not a single soldier had been killed, but 200 warships were now useless. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can they disable our ships without destroying them?" Commander's voice came over the communication system again. Adam, what you have just witnessed is a demonstration of mercy. We could have destroyed your entire fleet instantly, but we chose to disable your ships. Instead, why, the Admiral asked weakly, because we want your empire to understand the difference between power and wisdom. The human commander replied, power is the ability to destroy, wisdom is knowing when not to use that power. As Admiral tried to process this, space around his disabled fleet began to change again. New human ships appeared, but these were different from the warships. They were massive vessels with sleek designs and peaceful appearance. What are those? General asked. Medical and rescue ships. Commander explained, they are here to make sure your crews survive while we move your disabled vessels. Move them where? The human commander paused before answering. Admiral, we are going to give your empire a demonstration they will never forget. Your ships will be moved to the edge of our solar system and repaired. Your crews will be treated well and given food and medical care. And then you will return to your empire with a message, Commander said. But first, we want to show you something that will help you understand what your empire has awakened. On the main screen, the image changed to show deep space far beyond Earth's solar system. At first, Admiral saw nothing but stars. Then, shapes began to appear in the darkness. Ships, thousands and thousands of ships. Admiral Commander said softly, what you are seeing is the combined fleet of the Galactic Cooperative representatives from 47 different species, all of whom have been watching your empire's expansion with growing concern. The ships on the screen were of many different designs. Some were sleek like human vessels, others were massive and crystalline, and still others looked like living organisms that swam through space. But they all had one thing in common: they radiated power that made even human technology look primitive. The Galactic Cooperative has existed for over 10,000 years, the commander continued. We are species who have learned that cooperation is stronger than conquest, that knowledge is more valuable than territory, and that peace brings greater prosperity than war. Admiral felt his legs become weak. How many ships are out there currently? About 50,000, Commander replied casually. Admiral, your empire controls 47 worlds. The cooperative protects over 10,000 inhabited systems. We have been watching your expansion. Hopping you would choose a different path. Science officer was staring at the sensor readings with disbelief. Sir, the energy output from that fleet could destroy entire star systems. How is such power possible when 47 different species share knowledge and technology for 10,000 years? Amazing things become possible, the human commander explained. Admiral, your empire is not evil, just young and misguided. We would prefer to welcome you into the cooperative rather than destroy you. And if we refuse? Admiral asked, though he dreaded the answer. The massive fleet in deep space began to move, even at vast distances. Their combined presence was overwhelming. Admiral realized that this fleet could wipe out the entire empire without effort. Then your species will be restricted to your current territory until you learn wisdom, Commander said firmly. Any attempt to expand or attack peaceful worlds will result in immediate intervention. You would destroy us. No, Admiral, we would simply prevent you from harming others until your species grows up. Disabled ships were now being carefully moved by human rescue vessels, medical teams beamed aboard to check on the crews and provide assistance. Despite being enemies, the humans treated the soldiers with respect and care. "I do not understand," Admiral said quietly. "You have the power to destroy us, but instead you help us. Why?" Commander smiled sadly on the screen. "Because, Admiral, every species goes through this phase. Even humanity was once young and aggressive. We were lucky enough to meet wise teachers who showed us a better way. Now it is our turn to be teachers. What do you want me to tell my emperor?" "Tell him the truth about what you have seen here," the commander replied. "Tell him that the galaxy is full of ancient civilizations who value peace above conquest. Tell him that the empire can choose to grow and learn, or it can remain isolated until it does." Admiral looked around his disabled bridge at his frightened officers. Everything he thought he knew about the galaxy was wrong. The empire was not a great power, but a small, young civilization playing with forces beyond their understanding. "Will you give us another chance?" he asked quietly. "Admiral," Commander said, with genuine hope in her voice, "Galactic Cooperative believes every species deserves a chance to prove they can choose wisdom over violence. Your empire will be watched but not destroyed. If you can learn to coexist peacefully with your neighbors, you will eventually be welcomed into the larger galactic community." As the human rescue ships finished moving the disabled fleet, Admiral realized that his species had been given an incredible gift. Instead of being destroyed for their aggression, they were being offered a chance to learn and grow. "Commander," he said finally, "I will deliver your message. I will tell my emperor exactly what I have seen here." "Thank you, Admiral," Commander replied. "Your ships will be repaired and you will be given safe passage home, but remember, the galaxy is watching. Choose your next actions carefully." As the fleet prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Admiral looked one last time at the human ships surrounding them. These beings had shown mercy when they could have shown destruction. They had chosen teaching over vengeance. He would spend the rest of his life trying to convince his empire to follow their example. The galaxy was far more complex and dangerous than they had ever imagined, but it was also full of potential for those wise enough to choose cooperation over conquest. Admiral's message would change the course of history forever. The age of empire was ending. The age of cooperation was about to begin.